Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello everyone, so I'm Carl Busby, your host of Game Set Matchup with the #1 partnerships podcast, and we are back with another episode. So today I caught up with Rob Hyland, who is the commercial leader in strategic partnerships at Oppo. So for anyone that doesn't already know, Oppo are the fourth biggest mobile manufacturer in the world, which is an incredible feat considering how much competition sits within that sector. Rob has worked within the mobile industry for over 20 years, starting out at Carphone Warehouse in the retail stores, and he now leads the strategic partnerships for Oppo and has a wealth of experience working with partners and building solid relationships. So we talk about what makes a gold star partnership for Rob and Oppo. We also dive into the core values that he looks for in a business, which ultimately are going to give that partnership the best chance of succeeding. We talk about his career and how he has landed in his current role, and also some tips around, what are the best sort of personal traits to have if you yourself, are looking to get into the partnership space. As always, remember you can find out more about Findr and how we are helping businesses secure discovery calls with vetted decision makers by hitting the links in the description. Enjoy this week's episode. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Game Set Matchup. So this is the podcast where we discuss all things partnerships. Maybe you're a bit new to the partnerships world, and you're looking for a bit of advice on how to get started, or you might be an experienced pro, just looking for a bit of inspiration or direction. Whichever one it is, we thank you for tuning in as always. I'm your host, Carl Busby. And they're excited today. Please welcome our guest. We've got Rob Hyland. He is the commercial leader in strategic partnerships at Oppo. Hello and welcome, Rob.
Yeah, hi, Carl. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on board.
Yeah.
Really
Pleasure.
good to be here. I know we've been trying to get this in the diary for a while. So yeah, thanks for accommodating.
No, absolutely. No, really good to have you. So, look, as always, we like to, start off and, just give our listeners a bit of a, introduction to sort of like, so, who you are. So maybe just want to start off with just a little bit about, bit about the background, sort of your current role, and then, maybe a bit more, about what, Oppo do as a business.
Yeah. So I'm going to start right back at the start, if that's all right, because I've been in mobiles now for I was just reflecting on this morning. I've been in mobiles for 20 years. Like my career started in mobiles, and it's in mobiles still.
Yeah.
But actually, I started like a lot of us did. I started at Carphone Warehouse in 2004.
Yep.
And I was reflecting on that journey the other day, and I realised that one of the things that was so good about that business is that it was everyone in that business, was aligned on what the purpose and the goal was, right? From top to bottom, bottom to top, and both ways sideways, to the point where we used to have briefings. I started in store selling mobile phones, and we used to have briefings on a Saturday saying, how many mobile phones are you going to sell? Because we need to get into the FTSE 100.
Yeah.
It's kind of mad thinking about it. Yeah. And at the time, I thought that was quite a common thing in business. I thought all businesses were run like that.
Yeah.
And as I've progressed through my career 20 years later, I realized it was actually quite a rare commodity. And actually that alignment that you look at from top to bottom, for me, is what I look for in partnerships. So and I think that was sort of forged very early in my career, that principle of everyone needs to be pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, I like that.
It's no good having alignment at the top if everyone at the bottom doesn't know what's going on, or vice versa, right? So so I was reflecting on that before coming on the podcast and thinking actually that a lot of the principles I hold dear in terms of how partnerships should work sort of formed very early in my career, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward 20 years and life at Oppo, which is good. So for those that don't know, Oppo is the fourth biggest manufacturer of phones globally. So an absolute juggernaut in terms of mobile phones. In Europe, we operate as a challenger brand. So increasing share, but still very much in the start of our journey. And actually for us, that means partnerships are key, because it's about how we can punch above our weight as an organization and take on some of those big guys and the more well-known brands within a European market. So partnerships and making sure that we're adding value to our partners, and that we're able to leverage that value to achieve our commercial objectives as well is really, really important. So as you said, I'm head of commercial for Oppo at the moment. big focus in terms of how we go to market from a pricing perspective, but then also leading on some of those strategic partnerships, be it Google or some of the UK Ireland accounts and into Europe with some of our carriers as well.
Nice. Obviously, just be a bit of a disclaimer for obviously listeners. Obviously we do know each other previously. I've worked at Carphone Warehouse as well, so totally can relate to some of the things you say. Obviously, I never actually worked in store, funnily enough, but obviously worked in the head office. So was there for 20 years as well. So I know obviously quite a bit about the the phone's background. I just think it's really interesting. Obviously with Oppo, obviously it's massive. You said competitors when it comes to phones. Imagine years and years ago, Nokia were one of the massive sort of leading brands, and like I said, it's just obviously very very sort of different today. I just want just like a quick thing. What do you think Oppo have sort of done maybe a bit different than other manufacturers to get them to where they've got to go? Because obviously it's an incredible feat, like you said, to be the fourth sort of biggest brand. That is incredible in sort of today's market. So I'm just intrigued. I mean, it's not like maybe one thing. It's probably a lot that probably got them to that place. But just obviously you being there within the business and just seeing obviously how things works, the culture and stuff. Any sort of how they've managed to.
So I think I can only talk obviously from my perspective in terms of what drew me to Oppo and then one of the reasons that I love the business as it is at the moment. And it's a really culture-rich organization with a really strong set of values. One of those sort of key values is around doing the right thing. And that is doing the right thing in terms of making the right product. It's also doing the right thing in terms of partnerships and honoring partnerships. That for me was super clear before I joined Oppo. I was working at a retailer in the UK and I was actually buying products from Oppo, right? So I knew the company. I could see that the journey that they were on. But what separated them from other manufacturers in that space was that, one, they were value led, and you could really see that. Two, they had a team that was so clearly aligned and pulling in the right direction. So back to that Carphone reference back in the day. Every single person was pulling in the same direction and resolute on the goal that they were trying to achieve. And actually that resonates in what we do as an organization now. And I think good times and bad times, the strength of a partnership is how you're able to manage those. The last couple of years haven't been great as an industry. There's been lots of downturn, and actually the wider economy as well, lots of downturn. But the strength of a business is how well it comes out of those with its partners. I think one of the things that separates Oppo specifically within the space that we operate in is how it treats partners and how it honors commitment, which I just absolutely love.
No, I love that. I will probably touch on a couple of those bits later as well, but no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously just with the Carphone reference there, probably maybe some people listening over there can remember the 5 fundamental rules, which obviously did lead a lot of the sort of culture within the business. And like for me, I mean, I won't read them off now, but they still stand true today.
They do. They're still there, and actually I see different businesses now and they have different value words or whatever you want to call them. But I'm yet to see many businesses where they resonate the whole way through the organization. And those 5 fundamentals, I still see people talking about them now on LinkedIn. You log on and someone's like, oh, I remember the 5 fundamentals. And it's testament to what a value-led business can be. And I think for me, that's what Oppo is as an organization, which is great.
That's brilliant. Good. So we've got a good bit of background there in terms of yourself and obviously with Oppo. So obviously we touched a little bit of partnership. So just with sort of Oppo, how would you say you sort of seen the approach change? I mean, obviously you talked a little bit there obviously already, but how have you seen their sort of approach change? To creating sort of partnerships or recent times, and the key thing as well is like for Oppo, what would you say a gold star partnership would look like, obviously for you, and then obviously again for that other party as well?
And I think this is one of the things I love about partnerships, right? Because it's for me, there's many different levels of it, but it's true partnership is moving it away from transactional into, objectives. It's moving it into a space where both businesses are on the journey together and moving in the same direction.
Yep, love that.
And, we previously talked about on one of your panels, we talked about needing to align the business like a zip, right? So top to bottom, everyone needs to be joined up.
Love the analogy.
For me, if you look at a business development manager in an organization, those guys are incredible about building relationships and breaking through those barriers and opening the door. And often they build really strong rapport with their counterparts. But what you then need is that zip to make sure that it moves up and down in terms of both businesses linking together. And what you should have is someone on the sales floor who understands the content of that original pitch deck in terms of what this brand is and what they're offering, as well as the person who received it in the first place. So that for me is true partnership, is around how you align both of those businesses together. We look at what Oppo do. It's around, okay, well, what does that partner want from us? And it's really important in any space that the business that's pitching for that business understands what part they are to play. And often I see too many times, you see people pitching with, we've got a great product, we've done this is why it's going to succeed. And you just know that they've been sat around a table in an inwards facing environment talking about their product and not looking outwards around how it's going to serve the community or other businesses. And I think that's something that Oppo does very, very well, is understanding their position and understanding how they can add value to different partners and tailoring that approach. Right? So it's no good saying, okay, I understand this one. Cool, let's use the same pitch for everyone. It's about truly understanding what that partner needs from us as an organization, and then tailoring our approach to achieve it.
No, that's brilliant. I love that analogy with the zip there. I think that's really, really clever. Right? Yeah, it really sort of gets across, said how you want the businesses to work together. So and then just obviously just keeping on that, so just a little bit. So like, I mean, as you said there, obviously when you're looking to partner with a particular company or business, is there any sort of particular sort of traits you would look for in that partner, either be like having those first conversations or even sort of like beforehand, which would maybe trigger that decision to go, oh, this is someone that we would like to come and talk to. Obviously you touched a little bit there, like you said, with the cultures and making sure the alignment, but I just wonder, is there anything like specific when you go and you're like, right, if they need to have these kind of traits, otherwise we probably it's probably not going to go any further.
Yeah, I'll answer this question personally as opposed to from a business perspective. Personally, I look for initially energy. When you jump on a call, as most of these initial meetings now are virtual, right? So I look for energy, because if you're going to be working with someone day in, day out through this,
you need a bit of energy.
you need something that you can bounce off of, and I think for me it's a precursor to creativity. So someone that sort of has that energy, I know that we're going to be able to collaborate and find solutions to problems that we don't know exist. That for me is that sort of first barrier. And then, to be honest, it's authenticity. And again, it's them understanding our needs and our objectives, and vice versa for me, understanding that. So that for me is that initial contact. And actually, like all of us, I get BD emails every single day, pitching this, pitching that. And I often read them. And like most of us, I don't have the opportunity to get back to most of them. But every so often, I'll see an email that's so well constructed. If the business is not right for me, I go, that's energy, that's authenticity that I can see. And I'll respond and say, the opportunity isn't right for now, but I just want to say that's a great email, and keep it up, or whatever it is. And actually, one of those emails recently went out, or last year went out. We're now speaking to that person again.
Oh wow.
About opportunity.
Wow.
But if that initial email hadn't come in so well written, it would have been gone. So I think that for me, when you're building partnerships, you have to hold yourself to a really high standard in everything you do, because that initial contact is so important.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think, I mean, probably, as you say, from a personal perspective, like, I think that just works in all sorts of life. If you are going to work with somebody, just having that energy, seeing that, can make all the difference. And the key thing, like you said, you're going to face challenges, and you want to be able to trust that partner's not going to just, disappear into once things get a little bit tough, or there's challenges come up, because then you are, that's when things sort of tend to go downhill.
100%. And that, it's true. And that we talked about that zip, right? Is actually that initial contact. Sometimes you feel like you've got really good rapport, then everything gets signed. That person that you've been speaking to disappears, and suddenly the rest of the team that are there to support you aren't delivering to that same standard. So that again is for me, when I'm building partnerships, is okay, well, what can we bring the rest of the team in earlier? Can we meet them? Can we pitch to them the same way we've pitched to you, so that they know the journey that we're on? Because you sign that contract and you get that handover, and then suddenly you're not in the same space you thought you were going to be in. It's really difficult. So the authenticity that we talked about is also around, hey, look, this is what you're going to get from us, and we can show you that now. I think that's really important.
Yeah. No, definitely that's key. And then just a bit, so because people may be listening, they're interested in the sort of partnerships world, or role, or sector. And I know we touched a little bit on it before, in terms of how you sort of come into this role. But obviously we know, so started out at Coffin Warehouse, obviously on the front line, so to speak, selling phones and stuff, and then through your career. So with the partnerships roles that you've come into, is this something that you just sort of fell into a bit naturally, in terms of your progression, in terms of your sort of career, or was there a point where you started to realize, oh, what I actually like, it's something I would like to do, and then you sort of focused a bit more around looking for that type of role? Just interesting for people to understand, how you kind of got into that into that place.
I think there's a part that naturally partnerships and relationships and your network becomes more important the further you progress in your career. So when you're young, it's me, I can conquer the world, I can do anything. And as you get older, you suddenly realize, actually, no, I need people around me, and I need this and I need that. So I think there's a natural progression towards partnerships as you progress within your career. For me as well, if I, again, going back to those early days, everything I was doing was interacting with other people on the sales floor, and it's about how quickly you can build rapport. It directly determines how well your day is going to go in terms of sales and things like that. Now, I really enjoyed my time in store, but I didn't like necessarily the sales, really salesy side of it. What I liked was building rapport and working with people. So the natural progression to me into partnerships, relationship management, or whatever you want to call it, is actually for me, it's the way I enjoy working. So I like to work with a partner where I know that we're both moving in the same direction, because then for me, all the easy conversations become easier, but actually all the difficult conversations become easier as well, because you're strategically aligned. So for me, I didn't find myself ever sat there going, I want to be in partnerships. I think it's just a natural evolution of my foundation, and then moving towards a way that I enjoy working.
No.
And that's
yeah. I was going to say, no, I like that. I think the key, obviously part of it as well, again, is about being able to build those rapports, right, and having those relationships, because obviously if you're going to be in a partnership style role, you're going to have to be able to talk to people, and like I said, build relationships, build rapports, get people on on side, get stuff across, get people on board. So yeah, like I said, I think that probably for a lot of people listening, that's the one thing, if you're maybe not particularly good at doing that. It's like to practice and like I said, just build that up as sort of as you go, because it's so it's a crucial part of it.
I used to do this thing early in my career. I remember you've literally just jogged my memory, where I used to go into Tesco's or Sainsbury's or big retailers on my day off, and I'd go in and buy just one item, but I would then go in and strike up a conversation with the person at the till. I'd always go to the till and strike up a conversation with the person at the till, because for me, it was just about practicing.
That's it. Absolutely.
How to open a conversation, how to build rapport as quickly as I could. And then I'd get back to the car, I'd take my notes, and then next day in the shop, I'd run through those things. And actually, it's funny reflecting on that now, but actually, I think it's a really important skill that we should all work on: how to build rapport with people quickly and turn them into partnerships.
That's really, really good. Like I said, I think it's just a good point in terms of like the probably it's not something well, I'm sure there are maybe sort of online courses and things you can do, but one of the key things in life, anything, just practice it. It's obviously probably uncomfortable at first a bit sometimes, a lot of things, but like a lot of things, you're not uncomfortable, you're not really learning. So like I said,
completely agree. And you're right, there will be online courses, but you know what else? There's 8 billion people in the world. Go out there and speak to someone. It's a good way to practice.
Absolutely, I like that. And then probably just keep on that theme. But we do like to ask guests. Obviously you've got a wealth of experience in terms of obviously your career and stuff. So, is there any sort of, potential advice, you would give to yourself if you could go back now, your younger self starting out, maybe not to the store, but like, when you sort of was building your career, sort of car phone and head office, anything that, either a good thing to do or maybe something just to avoid, say that this is a number one thing. I've learned a lesson, won't kind of do that again type thing. Yeah. Any sort of like, crucial sort of like learning experience that you'd want to, share. To say that this was something that you want to look out for.
100%. And I reflect on this quite a lot as well, and I think we touched on it when we did the panel with you guys. That at the start of my career, I was very, very hungry to prove myself, and that often resulted in sort of short-term thinking and short-term wins. So I'd push as hard as I could to get a win for me and for my business. And actually, on reflection, looking back now, I think there were some partnership opportunities that could have turned into true partnerships, that actually didn't materialize because the other person has gone, okay, look, we need to sign that for the short-term win of ranging or to get this product launched. But actually, they lose interest if you push someone too hard to get a short-term win. The other party loses interest. My advice to myself earlier in my career is don't push so hard for short-term wins, and focus always on long-term goals. Because I think if you sit there and you map out, what am I going to get for this win versus what will I get over the next 3 to 5 years, almost always the 3 to 5 year option is going to yield more results. So I think, and look, there's some cases where the short-term win is absolutely the right way to go, and it's about understanding that. But I would say more often than not, it's about collaborating a relationship that allows you both parties to continue winning for the years to come.
No, I love that.
I learned the hard way.
No. I think some good advice there. I think probably again, something for just life in general. Sometimes is that we're younger, we do think we're you're hungry, trying to prove things, and we don't obviously tend to look at the longer, the sort of longer stretch sort of thing. So that's a really good. And then just last things, obviously to wrap us up, so we're sort of running out of time. So just we like to ask guests what we sort of think the future holds for businesses. Obviously the reason we asked that is because we've had a lot of change. I know obviously COVID's now probably distant memory to a lot of people, but it did transform the way everybody works in terms of obviously hybrid working from working remotely, but it meant a lot of businesses had to accelerate projects and things really, really quickly to be able to like basically meet the demand of of people working from home, and then obviously obviously with partnerships like specifically obviously things obviously we're obviously a lot more online now on Zoom. I think you probably agree that meeting someone in person still holds a lot of value, and
I agree.
stuff. But yeah, like just there, obviously we talk a lot about the with AI. Do you just any sort of any sort of views on like how you think the whole sort of partnerships and people creating partnerships will sort of change in the future?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is the global economy becomes a harder place to trade, and I think you're going to see this continued move of businesses merging, and you can call that a merge, call it a partnership if you want, because it's essentially the same thing. You're saying what can you offer and what can we offer and how can we come together to succeed. I think you're going to see a continued move of that happening within big businesses. I think AI at the moment is really interesting. So I've just come back from Mobile World Congress in Barcelona last month, and AI was everywhere. Everyone was talking about AI, AI this, AI that. But it was almost it's almost at the still at the buzzword phase where everyone's just said we've got it too. And actually, what we need to see is that move into like true consumer benefits. And I'm not sure that businesses are able to convey those yet. I think they're still sort of panicking because it happened quick, right? No one had heard of ChatGPT, and then suddenly it was everywhere, and then you've got Google and Bard and everyone catching up. So I think we need to move to a bit where again we're then talking about true consumer benefits. So I think that's interesting. It's going to move incredibly fast, but when it catches up and consumers really understand the benefits that they can see from that, I think it's going to be incredible. The other bit then I think is you're going to see this continued move to brands partnering with other brands that complement them, and this is something I find fascinating. And actually, when you look at big old businesses, I mean old, but like they've been around for a couple of decades. They're all struggling with this. How do we talk to Gen Z? How do we attract Gen Z purchasers who are just about to move into this sort of high disposable income part of their lives? And actually you're going to be asking questions on Gen Alpha again soon. And actually I think this bit that big businesses can do is look at how they can partner with smaller sort of grassroots organizations that actually these demographics of consumers love. And it needs to be done in an authentic way. So it needs to be big businesses authentically wanting to connect and work with small partners. But then that actually, again, from a partnership perspective, helps the big business attract younger consumers who are looking for authenticity in what they do. And they're looking for businesses that put a stake in the ground and say, this is where we stand on these important issues. And it helps the grassroots organization by being able to leverage the scale of a larger organization to build up their brand. So I think that's you're going to see partnership continue to be really important from a merger perspective at the big as big businesses look to cut costs, but then this sort of cross-pollination between grassroots startups and big businesses, and actually using that to spearhead attracting the next generation of consumers. I think is a really interesting thing to watch happen.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Absolutely. I think, I think myself kind of, thought of it like that, in terms of just like, how our business, like this new demographic that's obviously, obviously growing, and how they're going to sort of, target. That's a very, very, really, really good point. Obviously, makes me feel a bit old now. I mean, I'm not part of that anymore. So
I'm very much not part of it either.
So listen, I think on that note we shall we'll wrap things up. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and glad we did manage to get it booked and get in the diary, because so it's been great.
Yeah, it's been a while, and again, just really grateful for you guys having me on, and always great to catch up with you as well. So thank you.
All right, brilliant. Thanks a lot for coming on.
All good.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.